And there are several ways to mount the Geode. These are the common ones that we see customers, and how they carry this device. So it can be used on a survey pole here, used with typical RAM mounts. This is one of my favorite. It's just an inexpensive camera collapsible pole. So this is a $15 collapsible camera pole that I like to use with inside of a backpack, but you can also extend that and use it kind of like a monopod. So here would be the monopod example. Here's the one I was talking about, where you can take that pole, collapse it, and put it inside of a backpack. Usually I get a backpack that I attach it onto the side, but that way you can just have a hands-free data collection. So this Geode is connected to that Mesa 2 via Bluetooth, which is very simple to do. You can just collect your data like that. And I just want to talk a little bit about accuracy before we look into the local government workflows. So here's a very basic test that we did, typical, just using a 60-second average. These circles here, as you see, are 1 meter radius. You can see all of the positions lining right up inside of these. And again, this is not a survey technique where we let it occupy a point for a long time. This was just a basic 60-second average for each of these points. You see them all landing within the 1 meter. This circle here, when we drill down and look at the data, this circle is actually a 1 foot radius, or 0.3 meters. So as you see, the majority of points landing within this 1 foot radius, and those are based on the NSSDA standards, which is 2 sigma, so 95% confidence that the Geode results will land within 0.5 meters. Okay, if you choose to post-process the Geode, which many of our customers in local government like to do, you can get much better accuracy, about 10 centimeter accuracy. And there you see the orange box. That orange box represents the size of the Geode receiver. So that's the receiver itself. So it's post-processing to a very high level of accuracy. All right. So now we're going to start looking at the kind of majority of our webinar now and focus on the workflows that are common within local government. And the first one we call the traditional GIS workflow. And in this workflow, you have, this is really an alternative to, like, for example, Trimble that a lot of customers are familiar with from the past. And so this is a way to kind of save a lot of money and against those traditional GIS workflows, but have, kind of replace what you're currently doing with something that we feel is a more premium device, but something familiar with your users' data collection processes. So in this workflow, we really are looking at planning your project from the beginning. There's a period of, then you just collect your field data. If you want, you can post-process your field data. And then in the end, you upload your data to a GIS. So on the right, these are the different tools that you use in the process. So for example, you can use either Esri ArcPad, which is a common one from the past, or my preference, which is EasyTag mobile software. And this is really an alternative to Trimble TerraSync, where it gives you many of the same features with the addition of a few others that I really like. And then the hardware that you use is the Mesa 2 rugged tablet, along with the Geode sub-meter receiver. And so this would be, versus kind of some expensive Trimble alternatives. And the last one, if you are post-processing, you can use EasyServe post-processing software versus the Trimble Pathfinder Office. Okay, so in that first step, planning, there's the option to create the custom data dictionary. So this is where you have the ability to kind of define what attributes you want the users out in the field to be collecting. So you can, after they collect either a point, polygon, or line, you can have them guided through a series of questions and attributes that they need to answer about that feature. So in this case, in the customer, maybe they're mapping fire hydrants and they would select this, and this would guide them through a series of questions that you want to have answered about that fire hydrant so that you can load that information into your GIS. So it's a way to kind of standardize how your field data collection is made, as well as making it very easy for the users to collect the data. So you can upload your own high-resolution maps in common file formats if you choose to do that, but you can also just clip maps from the web and have those as layers on the mobile device so that the customers have some imagery in the background. So and then the next step in collecting your field data, we then are just out in the field, and if you'll notice here, you have these attributes that you defined in the data dictionary. The user would simply choose the one that they're going to map, and then it would guide them through those questions. Once the data is collected, if you do choose to post-process your data, the first thing I always tell customers is don't be intimidated by all of the icons that you see on this EasyServe software. You really don't need to use most of those. It's a professional surveying software, but for local governments, you really only have about 3 steps. First, you import the file that you collected out in the field. You then push the button for post-processing, and it will post-processing then, it will automatically go off and search the closest base station, reference station that's where the data was collected. So this is the way that your data set will go from the real-time accuracy of 30 to 50 centimeters in open sky, or if you're in a challenging environment, post-processing really helps to kind of clean up any kind of error that you received, down to about a 10 centimeter result after post-processing. Once you're done with that, you then have the option to just export your data into various file formats such as CSV, or open with Excel, KMZ and Google Earth, shapefiles, or even AutoCAD DXF. Okay, here's a cost comparison. So with the typical competitor type setup with Trimble, we know them to cost about $9,200, $9,300 for all of the software and hardware. With this setup that we're talking about, it's really only about just under $4,300 for that setup. So you can really save a lot, and there's not additional subscription fees or anything as well.